Hello, hello. And yes, I am live, or at least I think I am. Let me double check as always. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. It is so great to see you all here for another Wednesday. Can you believe it? It goes by there. Now I think I'm live. Yes, let's double check volume. Oh, yes, there I am. Okay. Lovely. As I often say, I'm a one-man band here, so I just have to be sure everything is working out okay. So hello, everyone. It is so great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. Yes, on another Wednesday, the first Wednesday in May. I'm really hoping the weather is going to warm up any day now. But yes, I hope it is good for you all there. Ooh, let's see who's coming in. Yes, hello. Oh, yes, Betty is from Georgia. Lovely. And Anne is here from Virginia. Lovely. Hello, hello. It is so good to see you all. Hopefully, my sister will be here as well. She often watches and, sometimes says, oh, sorry to be late, but don't worry if you can't make the live. These were being stored forever on Facebook, but now they're only being stored on Facebook for the next 30 days. However, I'm streaming live to the Janome Canada YouTube channel and Janome America YouTube channel. So you can always go back to review on YouTube. These will stay there. Hopefully, even after I'm long gone, but again, you never know. But yes, thank you. So there's always a way. You don't have to worry about not being right here in the live, but wonderful for you all to join me. My name is Michael Smith, the National Education Manager of Janome Canada, and I'm back here live at Janome Canada Facebook page, Janome Sewing Machines Facebook page, and again, Janome Canada YouTube, Janome America YouTube, to share more of the Janome love. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, there are so many fabulous things that we could do with our Janome sewing machines just on their own, but with a couple of these wonderful optional specialty pressure feet, we can do even more, have even more creative fun. And I emphasize the word fun. Sewing should be fun. And there's so much that we can do with our Janome machine. So let me flip around and share with you. Always so much. Ooh, let me start turning the camera so you don't see my messy sewing room, because I will be having a very special appearance next week on our Canadian shopping channel. So yes, I got lots on the go. So here I am sewing on the fabulous Janome Skyline S7 AE Anniversary Edition. And what I'm going to talk about today is couching. Now you'll see on my table, look at that big pile of all these fuzzy yarns. Now, I wish I was a knitter and crocheter, and I hope my sister, oh, there she is. Yes, my sister Deb is watching. Excellent, perfect timing, because yes, she is an excellent knitter, crocheter. She picked that up. My grandmothers did that, and my sister does all this knitting and crocheting. I don't have time for that, but I love all the yarn. Look at this beautiful fuzzy yarn. It's almost like chenille. Or again, we get, like beads. And again, more traditional yarns. But, now I know, look at that beautiful fuzzy multicolor yarns. Here's some more yarn. It's got a bit of sparkle. And then when I pull it apart, look at all that. That's like one yarn. This I found at the like charity shop. You can get a lot of these at the discount store. Some of the yarns here, again, look at all that. This is a designer yarn. Who knew that some of the fashion designers are doing yarn? But look at all that. Isn't that gorgeous? So look at all of these trims. There's a little bit of sequins here. This is such a fun way that we could add some embellishment to some of our garments, tote bags, craft projects, even quilts. I've got lots of samples to share with you over the next month as we're talking about couching. So couching basically just means traditionally a zigzagging yarn and trims, and again, could be beads, onto our fabric. It's a very old technique. It was all done by hand, but of course we're going to use, again, look at all that multicolor yarn. Love it. we're going to attach all of this with our fabulous Janome sewing machine. So again, I wish I could, maybe one day my sister will teach me how to knit and crochet. But instead, no, we're going to do it all in our sewing machine here using all that yarn. I say I can get my yarn fixed this way. Look at all this. It reminds me of those chenille blankets. Isn't that so cute? This is a cute little travel pillow I made since I travel all the time in the airplane. So this will fit in my suitcase. And again, I just couched or zigzagged yarn onto this fabric and I just sewed it up and made it a pillow. I was just doing some free motion, just having fun. You don't have to worry about, being an artist and being so precise. Look at this beautiful pillow. I will show you more next week about this, but you're just adding this yarn texture. This is another project I'll share later where I just was stitching with the fabulous Pro Stitcher Premium software for our Janome long arm machines, our Janome Quiltmaker Pro and Quiltmaker long arm machines. But then, so I just stitched it out. There's in the back. Isn't that gorgeous? And all I did to finish this off, it's a little scarf. And I just zigzagged this yarn. I couched this yarn onto the edge of this fabric. And now I have made, there's batting in between. So now I've made a very warm little scarf, with those cute little dump trucks. So again, there's so much we could do. Or how about here is a placemat, again, more beautiful Pro Stitcher. Look at all those gorgeous feathers. All this gorgeous quilting with our quilting software. Maybe we have an embroidery design in here. Maybe we've done free motion quilting. And I just need this quick, easy placemat, or this could be a table, scarf on our table. And then boom, there you see zigzag on one side, and then there that gorgeous yarn, that was that designer yarn on the other side. So isn't that beautiful? So many things that we can do. So how can we attach all this yarn? Well, there's a couple of ways. So we will go to our fabulous Janome dealer. And I always recommend you get these optional specialty presser feet for your various machines first, and then you take them to the craft store to make sure that all your yarns and trims will fit. So, for example, we have the beading foot. There is a narrow beading foot, and there is a wide groove beading foot. Now, very important, you'll see it will say for 9 millimeters. In my case, my Skyline S7AE here is a 9 millimeter machine. And what that refers to is the width of your needle plate opening. It's just, in this case, slightly bigger than 9 millimeters, since the needle fits inside of it. But the swing of the needle, if you need to know, you could just measure what's the width of that zigzag opening, or you just do the widest zigzag, the widest decorative stitch you can do, and then measure that. And in my case, it's 9 millimeters. So make sure that you get the correct foot for your machine. These beading feet, the wide groove and the narrow groove, come in for 5 and 7 millimeter machines as well. So make sure you get the correct one. So again, the wide groove beading foot is the L2. And it's got this groove, again, the wide groove on the bottom. So I did a series on the Janome Canada YouTube channel called A to Z with Janome. So I went through the alphabet. So the L is L2 for wide groove. And again, this is where you take your foot, you get your foot from your Janome dealer, then you take it to the craft store. And in this case, will this yarn fit? It will fit beads and yarn up to, I think it's up to 4 millimeters. Back of the blister pack is your friend. You can dispose of this plastic, but make sure that you keep the cardboard. And it says, yes, it will fit for 2.5 to 4 millimeter wide beads and yarn. So simplest thing to do, just take the foot, purchase from your Janome dealer, take the foot. Will that yarn fit through? Yes, no problem. This is the narrow groove beading foot. This is the L1 foot. And you'll see, oh yes, that groove is much more narrow. So in this case, oh boy, this yarn is way too big. That's not going to work. But some of this like soutache rat tail cording, oh, that fits just beautifully. So no problem there. And we can have so much fun with our narrow groove, wide groove beading foot. Again, you purchase from your Janome dealer. I'm going to demo just the wide groove one right now. It's a snap-on foot, so very simple and easy to do. Now, some of our sewing machines have the fabulous sewing applications menu, which is the little t-shirt here. And if you have a Skyline S9, a MemoryCraft 15,000, the previous top-of-the-line machine, or you have the Skyline or the Continental M17, CM17, in your sewing applications mode, you will have your garments, your regular, more traditional options. You'll have some quilting options, and your top-of-the-line machines, again, Skyline S9, your CM17, MemoryCraft 15,000, you'll have an optional presser foot sewing applications menu. I don't have that here on my Skyline S7, and again, most of our machines don't have these optional presser feet in the sewing applications, but not a problem, because again, at the back of the blister pack shows all the information what we are going to do. So in this case, it tells me I want a zigzag stitch, and it even suggests we use a size 11, which is a blue tip needle. I personally like using a red tip, the size 14. It's got a slightly larger eye, slightly thicker shaft. It'll go through more layers. Definitely when we're using our beading feet here to attach yarns and trims and beads, we want to beef up our fabric. I have a tearaway stabilizer here. So we're going to, and I just do these little test samples. For example, there's my wide groove 2.5 to 4 millimeter beads, and I used a zigzag stitch, in this case, the multi-step zigzag or the tricot stitch. So, oh boy, I'm so sorry. It's so hard when you have a camera in front of you. Do you see then I have the zigzag stitching in between on the yarn? Or then again, we want the zigzag stitch, in this case, the narrow groove for 2 millimeter wide beads and yarn or less. And then the zigzag goes over the yarn. I don't necessarily want the zigzag stitching going through the yarn. We traditionally want to go on either side. So we do these little experiments. Again, our tearaway stabilizer on the back side. Or in this case, you've seen this sample before, I'm still working on it, where I'm just taking my striped fabric and I am doing all this beautiful decorative stitching, and I'm attaching all these beautiful, look at that, I'm using some of the decorative stitches built into the machine, but I'm using all these little yarns and trims. So wonderful. So we can have so many different effects. You just choose whatever. In this case, I'm just going to follow this line, and we take our yarns, whatever kind that we want. Oh, Brenda says it's sunny and warm in Florida. That's wonderful. So we take all of our yarns and trims. To make it even easier, you can use, these are the empty spools. Then spools of thread, you see how I take my spool of thread, my empty spool, and I wind my yarn around the empty spool. So that way it stays all nice and neater at the machine. I have even some here on my Janome tape stand that I use for binding, but I wrapped a big cone of thread, an empty cone, with this yarn. And again, I can just pull the yarn off. Isn't that wonderful? Do you see how easy that is? So we can wind up our yarn and put it on these empty spools. And then in this case, again, I just put it on my Janome tape stand, and it keeps the yarn from falling on the floor. The cat's not going to play with it. In this case, I'll just grab it and I'll just do it loose. But do you see all these beautiful trims? I love this. It's got like this extra cord. You can have even more fun with your couching. Do you see? It's got this extra little yarn wrapped around it. So this little trim, so I can unwrap this. You see, as I'm doing, you can have even more fun. So technically, this could be one trim. This could be another trim. So that's exactly what I did here. Do you see this little delicate with these little like eyelets on the yarn? That is one strand just of that little eyelet. So can you separate your yarn? So there's the rest of that yarn that little eyelet trim is no longer wrapped around it. So you can really have a lot of fun. So in this case, will this fit under my wide groove? Oh yes, look at that. It just slides through, no problem. So I will use that. I have in my sample, this will eventually be a tote bag. And let me use my extra high pressure foot lift here on most all of our Janome machines. Isn't that fabulous? So I get all my layers there. So in this case, I have some fusible fleece. This could be batting. I could have another finished layer of fabric under here as well. But in this case, I'm going to do all my decorative stitching here. And then I will cut out my tote bag. This will be the front of my tote bag. And then I'll line my tote bag. So I don't need to worry about what the underside looks like. But here I'm just going to follow the stripe. So what I need to do, I could use this straight stitch, but instead that would stitch through this yarn. I want to zigzag over it. So in your machine, any of your machines that will zigzag, you can do couching. And especially with these beading feet, make it really easy. So in this case, I'm going to use my zigzag. M stands for middle position, whereas R stands for right needle position. I'm going to use my middle needle position here. And my default setting is 3.0. But remember, we've got a 9mm wide opening of my needle plate, so I can go really wide. But basically, I just want to go as wide as my yarn. I don't want to go super wide and my yarn in between. I want to go as wide as my yarn. So I'm going to do at 6.0, and my length is set at 1.5, but I don't need it to be particularly tight. I'll go down to, in this case, I'll see what 3.0 looks like. The machine does come with a stylus as well. The Skyline S7AE comes with a stylus. I'm just using my finger, but you'll see on my LCD screen how that changed. I went wider and longer. So even though the LCD screen tells me I'm going to do the A foot, the regular flat, zigzag foot, I'm not going to use it because, again, I'm using that beading foot. So I can have that yarn in that groove. It stays perfectly centered in that groove. So yes, it is wonderful to use these specialty presser feet available from your Janome dealer. Now, in this case, I'm going to make my stitch length even longer, all the way down to 5.0. Now, I'm just using white thread, so you'll see it. I'm eventually going to rip this out. And I could use red thread, so I'm not even going to see the thread. Or I could leave it at white if I chose, or maybe I could do some metallic thread. I could use any thread and even add a more decorative element. So again, there we go. I'll just cut it off because I'm going to remove it. Just rip it out. But again, boom. There we go. Do you see how simple and easy that is? So I didn't really stitch through my yarn. I just stitched over the yarn. That's why the zigzag needed to be wide enough so I didn't stitch through the yarn. There's where it started. I had lengthened it to 3.0 and I felt, no, that was a little too tight. I didn't need that. There is at 5.0. Much better. And again, if I used red thread, you wouldn't even see it. But again, we could use decorative thread if we wanted to. Again, metallic thread just to add to it. It looks so beautiful. And on the backhand side, again, there is the zigzag. So isn't that cool? So that is our beading feet, narrow and wide beading feet. So that is one way that we can add couching to with our sewing machine. Now, in this case, whereas another application I would use, in here, I folded in this sample, I just folded the backing fabric. I folded it over to the front, and to disguise that edge, I just used this beautiful fuzzy yarn. And there is my zigzag, again, very big zigzag stitch that I used to attach the yarn, and you don't even see it. One, because I used like a blue thread. But again, because of the texture of the yarn, it just sinks in there. The stitching just sinks in there. So what a wonderful way. Again, I mitered the corner. I just folded my binding over from the back. I folded in this miter, and then again, this edge, I covered using the yarn. So it just adds a fun textural element. This is a great way you could do this to a quilt. It just adds something different to your binding. And imagine giving this quilt to a child, and wouldn't they love rubbing up against that binding? It would be so cute. So many things you could do with couching. So now, how else could we have more fun? How else could we attach these yarns and trims? I'm going to remove my foot holder, and I'm going to use the Fabulous for high shank machines only, for high shank and 9mm and 7mm. So our beading feet that I just demoed, we can do for 5, 7, and 9mm because they're snap-on feet. This free motion couching foot set is for high shank machines only. So our 9mm and high shank 7mm machines, we can use the free motion couching foot set. And again, full instructions on the back of the blister pack. And in this case, the blister pack even opens. Now remember, Janome is Japanese, so it opens from left to right. Full instructions in the blister pack. So you can dispose of the plastic, but make sure you keep this cardboard. They're showing you how to put this foot together. And most importantly, the zigzag settings. Do you see where it says 1.5 millimeters or less for the width of your zigzag? And you're going to lower your feed dogs. And then there's 2 different feet, which I will show you in just a moment. And it tells you, again, I can use 1.5 to 2.0 millimeter for foot number 1. That's the thickness of our yarn. Or foot number 2, I can use for less than 1.5 millimeter yarn. Very important. And again, caution. You do not want to make your zigzag too wide. Ask me how I know. So again, let's go back to our zigzag stitch. Now for our width, again, I do not want to go wide. So for sure, I'm going to go 1.5 or less. Very important. Now the instructions also said for me to lower the feed dogs because we're going to do this free motion. So here on the side of the Skyline machines, and on many of our machines, we just click this lever and then boom. Do you see how as soon as I lowered my feed dog, that stitch length indicator disappeared because now we're the stitch regulator because we're doing this free motion. Now it suggests we're using the PDH darning foot, but instead, I'm using the free motion couching foot set, which looks similar. It's got a spring, so it hops up and down. And then again, these 2 feet. I have the foot number 1 on that is slightly bigger. Foot number 2, the opening, can you see the opening is more narrow? So again, 1.5 millimeter wide yarns or less. and they just attach. There's a little screw here that you could remove this foot and put this one on instead, and then screw that into place. And then this, we want to make sure this bar on the top is going to go over the needle clamp screw. That's what's going to help this foot jump up and down. So I will screw the, oh geez, oh boy. Oh, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I am having so many challenges here. I'm glad I didn't lose you all. I'm so sorry. I have a new foot. I have a new, oh, there. I have a new setup here and I'm not liking it. Yes, I'm so sorry for that. Oh boy, my whole phone fell in my lap. So yes, here I am. Okay, on with the show. So there, we just tighten up this screw. So now that is over. Oh, I hope you can all hear me. Did that hit my microphone? There, I think I'm okay now. Okay, there, I'm so sorry. So there, the needle clamp screw, that bar is over the needle clamp screw. So now I have really tightened that screw very, very tight. And now I'm gonna jump free motion any direction I want. And this is where, again, we can take our yarn, and I have it wrapped in my little spool here. So the directions tell us to bring in the yarn from the back of the machine. It'll just kind of nest over the foot holder and just kind of push it in there with my tweezers so I can grab it. Do you see how it goes around the foot holder? And then this, we want to click into the groove in the foot. This is where it's very important you take this to the craft store with you, and you see there's that little notch. So you want to make sure, can your yarn fit through that little notch? So it's very important. For example, this yarn, again, I love it so much, but this does not work with the free motion couching foot set because those little eyelets are going to get caught on the foot. So this is where this yarn was great, using the beading foot to couch it on my fabric, but I can't use it in the free motion couching foot set here. Same with this rat tail cording, this soutache cording. This is too thick. I can't go because my needle wants to stitch through this, and this is too firm, it's too thick. So to zigzag to couch over it with the beading foot, no problem. Free motion couching foot, no, won't work. Some of these yarns, again, were just a little too thick, a little too chunky to go through that opening. So this is where you need to experiment with your different yarns and find out what works best. Yes, I don't like this new setup. There, I hope you can all hear me now. Okay, there we go. Oh, thank you, Cindy. Cindy's saying no worries again. Oh, I don't like making mistakes, but it happens. It's life. And then just move on. The show goes on. So again, yes, I have threaded. So do you see how the yarn is just going to come through? So now I am free motion. I have dropped my foot, dropped my dropped my feed dogs is what I'm trying to say. And then, yes, I'll just move my yarn out of the way so I don't run into it. And I just want to create some slack in my yarn. I don't want to have my yarn pull tight because then it's not going to couch down as well. So the machine is telling me raise the feed dogs. Well, no, I don't want to. I want to purposely do you see? This is so fun. You just go. Now I generally will sew a little slower as I'm doing this, but I'm free motion. So stitch length, it's entirely controlled by the movements of our hands. How fast are we going? So it's just doing a very slight little zigzag. Now again, our yarn here, we don't want to pull it tight. So this is where, again, I'm just going to unspool some and just have it kind of puddling here. The tighter our yarn is, then the more it is not going to couch. We may end up mis-stitching, but that's okay. Actually, we could always cut the yarn, and we could always go over the stitching, go over the yarn just with our thread. And again, with this fuzzy yarn, it doesn't matter what thread color you're using because it just buries in. It's so beautiful. Now, as I'm going over, do you see as I'm going over my yarn, we want to be careful as well. Be careful building up over layers. I don't want to cross over my yarn too much because then that really creates some thickness, and it may be a little harder for the foot to go over because remember, this is a hopping foot. So we don't want to create too many layers. Then it might be a little harder for the foot to jump over. So again, you just stop, you breathe, you take your yarn, make sure again it doesn't pull tight, and you go in whatever kind of direction you can create something like a little flower. Oh, and this is another tip. Do you see how I did? I pulled a little too quick and then my yarn came out of that notch. So not a problem. I'm just going to back up and I can just click, raise my foot. I'm just going to click my yarn to go back in and to raise my needle. Say, I'm just going to click my yarn to go back in the foot, make sure the yarn stays behind me. And there we go. Like, it is such a forgiving technique. I can go around here to create, like, if I want to create like a little leaf shape, a little flower. And then, oh, maybe now I want to fill it in. And you don't worry about, oh, my yarn is coming to an end, for example. Well, no problem. I'm just going to stitch over it a little bit to secure it. And then I could take another piece of yarn and just pick up where I left on, do a couple of stitches to secure it, and no problem. So again, you don't see that thread. I used white thread. You don't see it at all. You don't see where I began and where I ended. And again, on the back side, you see just little subtle zigzaggy stitches, mainly just based on my movements. But so even on the back, it really doesn't look that objectionable at all. Again, you could do this, embellish your fabric, and then line your garment, line your tote bag. This could be a quilt, and then through all layers, just I did two. The back really doesn't look that bad. Or then you could wait and then put the backing on. But it's a very fun technique. So that is your free motion couching foot set. Or again, that we have our beading feet, the narrow groove and the wide groove beading feet. So there's many different ways that we could do couching on our sewing machine. I will be back next week to share with you, some fun inspiration, what we can do. Let's flip around here. There we go. What we can do and how we can do more creativity without being an artist. Don't worry about, I'm not good at drawing. You don't have to worry about that at all. So thank you, everyone. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties, but thank you for sticking with me. And yes, I'll be back next week to share with you more couching fun that we can have on our sewing machines. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day. Bye.